And then I'm gonna talk about how to use podcasts to make money online. So probably 30 minutes I will spend there to really help you understand, because while I was sending emails and talking to teachers, I feel like teachers don't really quite understand how this works. I'm gonna spend some time really help you understand. And then I want to make a quick announcement about our Teacher Academy, because this month is the last month to join the Teacher Academy at 50% off, okay? So I'm gonna spend like 15 minutes talking about Teacher Academy, like what it is, because I don't want you to miss this opportunity to join us in the Teacher Academy at the 50% off. So that will be like 15 minutes, very quickly talk about that. And then I'll pass it to Martin. So Martin gonna do a live demo to show you how to record, edit, and publish a podcast, and with some best practices, software, how things go. Because he wanted to make sure you understand it's not that hard to do it, and it's very streamlined things you can do. And then Martin gonna also talk about the easy steps to get your first 100 listeners. So things that have worked for him, how to get these first 100 listeners to a podcast to get started. At the end, we're gonna have a Q&A. I'm gonna share the show up bonus with you. So you want to make sure you stay to the end to receive the 2 show up bonuses, okay? So number 1, so Martin put together a podcasting tech list with recommended equipment, software, tools you can get started. We have links, so you can just know the recommended places you can go, where to find music, where to find this equipment, where to find what software to edit audios, all that list on the list. And also we're gonna share all the slides from today's presentation, okay? All presentation slides I'm gonna share with you on in this short bonus, okay? All right, so let's get started with this one. Use podcasts to make money online. So this is quite interesting. All right, I'm just looking at the notes. Okay, all good. So if you have questions, guys, make sure to use the Q&A feature, like the button. Click on that to put the questions. So then we're gonna answer them at the end. Okay. All right. Use podcasts to make money online. All right. So how do teachers make money with their podcast? Okay. So it sounds like a very, very simple or easy question, but I just want to show you like how really it works, how it works. Okay. So how it works with the podcasts. Okay. It's not very straightforward. So number one thing, right? You need to record, edit, and publish podcasts on platforms. So you need to have podcasts out there on platform. There are many platforms for podcasts, for example, Spotify or Apple Podcasts. There are a lot of very popular podcast platforms you can use to publish your podcast. After that, these platforms going to share your podcast with their users. All their users can find your podcast from the searches. For example, I was looking for mindset podcast. I would just go on podcast and Spotify or my Apple iPhone podcast, right? Just a mindset. And then I got a lot of podcasts recommended to me. I will click and just see which one I want to listen to, right? So after that, then people find you, right? For example, Martin gonna talk a little bit more about himself. Like Martin teaches business English, right? He has this rock and roll English podcast, and then people found Martin and feel like, oh, that's pretty cool, and then just keep listening to Martin's podcast. And Martin does podcasts like a weekly, then they just like listen to the podcast every week. And then you make money by following one or many of the monetization strategies. So you have this audience and people are listening to your podcasts regularly, and then you can make money out of that. And these common strategies, monetization strategies for podcasting, I'm gonna just go through them one by one. For example, the first one, the most direct one, right? When you have a group of listeners, you can promote your own teaching services, right? Your teacher, you have teaching services. If you're teaching one-on-one sessions, you can say, hey, everyone, if you're interested in working with me directly, there's a link, you can submit the form, or there's a link, you can book a call. No, you can already promote your one-on-one in the podcast, and people listen to podcasts and find the link, right? They can click and then already work with you, right? Or reach out to you, or you can promote your group sessions or membership, right? We have clients, Martin actually launched his membership. He said, hey, my membership program is open for enrollment again. If you're interested, reach out, email, or use a link, right? And digital courses, right? Say digital courses, hey, we're on promotion of the digital course, 50% off, whatever. Then you just talk to your listener, let them know, and pay workshops and webinar. Hey, next month I'm gonna run a workshop about this and this. If you're interested, you can promote your own teaching services to your listeners because they're listening to your podcast, and you can tell them, or your own products. I know a lot of teachers actually have their products. So like a curriculum, lesson plans, or printables, worksheets. You can either just use your podcast, direct people to your website. Hey, click on the link to go on my website and get what, right? You mentioned in your podcast, or you can even, if you have books, right, you can tell people, hey, I have a new book now on Amazon. If you want to check it out, here's the link. Then people can the link is in the description of your podcast, and people can go and click on the link. A lot of people do this. It's very successful on podcasting. So I actually bought a book. I bought a book because I was listening to that guy, and I bought a book because that's his new book. He was like, hey, this book, blah, blah, blah. And I went on Amazon and bought a book. Okay. So teaching materials on TPT, if you have a TPT store, teacher store, you can just say, hey, I have this thing. You can go click on the link. You can go on TPT and find it, right? Your own product or subscription to VIP app. So this is not very common. But this is quite popular in the podcasting world, right? So for example, you have free podcast. You can also have like a premium VIP podcast episodes. That means there are podcasts free, but there are VIP premium podcasts people have to pay for through a subscription. They pay you how much monthly, they can access to this premium podcast, and the Martin has that too, like the podcast he recorded, but only for his members, right? Example, you could offer a subscription that includes detailed downloads, transcripts, additional training that go beyond the general content of your free podcast, right? And people pay for that through a subscription. The next one is sponsorship and advertisement, okay? This is very, very common. So when you have a really good following, and then once your podcast gains traction, you have people following you, people are very popular, and educational companies like book publishers and software providers. There's so many companies might be interested in sponsoring your podcast or advertising their products. Something like a educational company reach out to you. Can you mention our company in your podcast to kind of introduce us to your audience? And I pay you how much, right? So sponsorship advertisement you can get when you have a good following of a podcast. Example, a popular language teaching podcast might attract sponsorship from language learning apps. So, so many language learning apps, right? Like Duolingo, right? Now reach out to you. Hey, can you mention Duolingo in your podcast? I'll pay you a couple $1,000s, right? So that's very common when you have a good audience of your, kind of target audience for them as well, right? Or educational software companies. So affiliate marketing, this is super, super popular, okay? You don't even need to have a big audience. You can already do affiliate marketing. So what is this? What is it is in your podcast, let's say I'm talking about something, I'll recommend products or services in your podcast and use affiliate link to earn commission from sales generated through your podcasts. So example, if you are discussing educational tools, right? And you can link to those tools using affiliate links and earn percent of any sales made through these links. So everyone who purchase the tools or whatever you recommend, you get a percentage like 5%, 10%, 20%, 30%, depending on the agreements you have with the affiliates, right? So something very popular, very easy to set up, for example, Amazon Associates. So basically you can have affiliate link to thousands of things that are available on Amazon, and then you don't just recommend things for free. I know a lot of teachers do that. Some parents come to them and say, hey, then I go here, go here. You can just easily create these affiliate links for yourself. And then when you recommend, just share your affiliate link and make money out of it. Because it's your time, like recommending things, you can make money out of this. And in your podcast, you can just say, hey, if you guys are interested in this, and you can use my affiliate link to sign up, to get, right? So it's very, very simple. So now look at these monetization methods, right? Your own product, your own service, subscription, sponsorship, advertisement, affiliate marketing. So I want to ask this question. What is key here to make it work? Like to make this work, what is the key here? Anyone? Let me see if anyone can answer this question, okay? Anyway, what is the key here to make this work? Looking at all these monetization methods, right? Anyone? All right, consistency. Okay. A successful podcast, Gary attract a wide audience, give value, add new audience. Nicola, consistency. Dan, consistency, marketable product clarity, commitment, consistency, good content, taking the training. All right. So I think everyone's kind of getting close to what I wanted to say. So what you need to be consistent with, what you need to be consistent for. Why do you need a good content, right? Why do you need to know your audience? It's all because this. You need an audience. You need to be consistent with the building the audience. You need to have a good content to help you build the audience. You need trust, Jeff, right? To build the audience. You need audience. Like I have so many affiliate links. I have, I have my services. I have my products. I don't have an audience. Like who I'm gonna sell to, who I'm gonna suggest. I have a feeling to everything, but who I'm gonna share this with, right? The audience. You need an audience, and the podcasting is good because it can help you build audience. Okay. Yeah, Ina, you need I need a podcast first, of course, right? But the key here to make all of this work, you need an audience. Does it make sense? Am I surprising you? I don't think I'm surprising you because you're thinking the same thing. But yes, you need to be consistent to build the audience. But eventually, in order to monetize, in order to make money, all of this, you need an audience. Okay, audience. Okay, that's what I want to tell you. And the most common misunderstanding people have when it comes to making money online. So I'm gonna kind of go beyond a little bit. So we talk podcasting, and I want to kind of really help you guys understand here the most common understanding people have when it comes to making money online. And I can say this because I have spoken to thousands of people, okay? And I can tell you this is the most common misunderstanding. So how people think it works, like how people think it works to make money online, to monetize, okay? This is how people think. Okay, you feel that someone out there could be interested in something you can offer. You have this idea, right? I think I have something that people might be interested. I can teach something that people might be willing to pay. Like you have this idea, okay, this idea. Then you put together your service or products. If you don't have it already, okay, I'll just put it together. A service. I put together a program. I got my lessons. I got my materials done. Or I put together my digital course. You put it together as offers. Your offers, okay, and then you go on create a website with your offer information, and then advertise your offers on social media. You create a website, and then you're just telling people, okay, I have this offer now. And you expect that people who are interested, which is your audience, right, can find your website or see your advertisement on social media. And then you think, oh, when they see it, they will purchase my offers and that will make money. Okay? So this is how people think it is. And it goes like this. I have this idea. I know I can make money out of this. I have this idea. I can teach, I can sell, whatever. And then I have these offers. I have the service product ready. And then I'll just website and I just look for audience. And then I will make money. Okay. Comment yeah if this is how you think of or used to think. Yeah. If this is how you think or how you used to think. Okay. I can tell you, I'm not surprised if you say yeah, because this is what people keep telling me, and that's what they do. And then why they reach out to us, why they reach out to us, why they talk to me, because it didn't work. Okay, it didn't work. So how it really works, okay, let me tell you. Start with the same idea. You feel that someone out there could be interested in something you can offer. You have this idea. All comes with the idea. There's nothing wrong with that. You have this idea. I want to go independent because I'm already teaching these students. I can just find my own students. I can charge much higher rate. Nothing wrong with that. That's great idea. And then you should, right? This is how this really works. You should publish content. You should develop things. You should reach out to people to attract people who are interested and can use like a social media posts, podcasts, YouTube videos, like a newsletter, blogging, whatever. You want to share content to attract people who are interested to build the audience. And then you identify their challenges, their needs to help you develop and or, right? You don't have to develop or find services or products that can help them, either from you, your own service or own products, or affiliates, the sponsorship, right? Doesn't matter. I identify their challenges. Oh, these are the things my audience want and my audience needs. I can develop or find offers that can help them, and then you introduce your offers or others' offers to your audience in the podcast. For example, hey guys, I have this is for you. I know you guys struggling with this, and then now I put together, or I actually know this company offers this, right? You introduce that to your audience, and then they purchase it. Why do they purchase it? Because you build this audience, they already know you, and this offer is specifically for them. This offer is help them with their challenges, is for their needs. Of course, they're gonna purchase it. I mean, not everyone gonna purchase it, right? It takes time, but they will purchase it, and that's how you make money. And this is what it should go like. Okay, idea. You have this idea, then I'll build the audience. Then I identify the challenges. The challenges might be something similar to what you thought, or it could be more than what you thought, right? Then, okay, I'll develop offer or I'll find offers. I don't have to develop everything. If somebody already doing a good job, like have a really good product, I'll reach out, hey, I can sell your offer to my audience. I'll take like a 20, 30% commission. Of course, why not, right? Offers, and then you make money. Okay, so what's difference between the two? People think, and I suggest, what's the difference? What's the difference, guys? What's the difference? What is different here between the two? What's the different? What's different here? What's the difference? Anyone? So Angelique, audience and offers. Nebula, audience first. Religions first is first one, building an audience. Audience comes before offers, specialized offers. Yep, you value audience first. That's great. You guys got it. No, got it. So audience comes before offers. This is so simple, okay? This is 4 words. I can tell you this can take 10 years for people to understand. Audience comes before offers because it's counterintuitive. If I want to start business, I set up a store, and then I get businesses, right? I just set up a bookstore. I sell book. Yes, but when it comes to online, when it comes to monetizing your expertise, this is more efficient, safer, better than the other way around. Okay, audience comes before offers, and too many teachers make this same mistake. Okay, I've been teaching students. I have a course. I can offer this service. I have made this product, this course, this digital course. Where can I find students, customers who like to buy? You know, I've talked to thousands of teachers, and this is the question asked me, James, where can I find my students? Where can I find students who want to buy this? Okay. Where can I find students who are gonna pay me for this? Too many teachers make the same mistake. Did you guys make this same mistake? All right. So this is too many people make this mistake, and it's really the opposite. Okay, opposite. Okay, I like to do this. The idea, nothing wrong with the idea. I like to do this. I like to teach these students. I like to build a business. I have this idea. Let me build an audience of people who are interested in this idea. Okay, now I have audience. What do they want? What does my audience want or need? Let me develop an offer and find offers or find offers to help them make money. Great, I'm making money. Okay, so common audience if this makes sense to you. I just need to make sure you guys really understand this, okay? So too many people are offer cautious, product cautious, They're like, I need to have my program. I need to have this ready. I need to have my lessons, have everything put together before I can get the students. They are too product cautious. And what you really need to be is audience cautious. Where is audience? How can I build my audience? How can I get my audience? And then you just open the door. You can monetize in so many different ways, as I suggested, right? Everything applies when you have an audience. Okay, common audience. If this makes sense, I'm seeing a lot of comments here, and we have 88 teachers watching. Make sure you take action, guys. It's not like just asking to comment. It's like engaging. This is the best way to learn. Common audience, if this makes sense. If it does not make sense, don't worry, it's fine. So I'm not doing the best, right? So if it doesn't make sense, let us know. I can answer some questions. But this is really how it works. Common audience, if this makes sense to you, okay? And I'm seeing a lot of common audience now. Yeah, that's great. It's great, guys. So bring this home with you today. Build and grow an audience first, and then we can make money with so many different ways. Okay, so many different ways. Don't be the offer or product cautious. Or what is my offer? What is my product? Be audience cautious. Where can I build this audience? How can I build this audience? Okay, so bring this home with you today. So then some of you might ask, okay, James, podcast is great. So what are the most popular ways for teachers to build an audience online? So there are many ways, okay? So after working with thousands teachers, the most popular and proven ways for teachers to build an audience online: social media, podcasting, blogging, and email newsletter. These four. So social media, there are many places: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and others. I'm not gonna comment on each of these. So you're gonna get the slides. You can read it if you want. And how do you pick? It depends on the audience you want to build, right? Who are they? Who are these people you want to build audience with, right? And podcasting, that's our topic today. So podcasting is a great option for teachers who are good at speaking and want to create content without the pressure of visuals. So I'm not saying that podcasting is the only thing you want to do. A lot of people, they are good at visuals. They are successful on social media. They also do podcasting. But for teachers who don't really like, at least at first, they're kind of very anxious about their visuals, like videos, images, like they don't just feel too much. Podcasting is a really good option. And some advantages I want to highlight of podcasting over social media. Number one, very obvious, right? So it's really audios with podcasting. There are no videos. So this can be a relief if you're not keen on being on camera. Deeper engagement. So Martin gonna talk about this, and every time I talk to him, he like to mention this. So I'm gonna use your words, okay, Martin. So I think what he said is like when your students, right, put on their headset, it's just you and the students in the world, right? They're listening to you. It's not like social media or short videos, like just give you 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 1 minute. With podcasts, it's like to give you, there are maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes of time. So that really give you this more intimate way to connect with your audience, offering deep dive into subjects, deeper engagement. That's why we are seeing people getting higher conversion rates in whatever they're selling with podcasts, because the deeper engagement, and then less competition. So it's less saturated than social media platforms, meaning less noise, less competition, and better chance for your voice to be heard by the right audience. Okay, that's podcasting. These advantages over social media. Blogging is something we're going to talk about in the future. We are actually developing some training about blogging as well. So ideal for teachers who excel in writing and prefer to share content in written form. Okay, you write blogs and people see your blog and read your blog and they follow you, right? Unlike video content, but similar to podcasting, blogs can help you grow an audience without needing to show your face, right? A lot of people are just good writer, and blogging can be a good option. Email newsletters. So this usually go hand in hand with blogging. You know, people follow your blog, you ask them to join your newsletter. So newsletter is for teachers who want to build a direct line of communication with their audience via emails, give them updates, insights, resources directly to audience inbox. I think, no, you guys are in our email newsletters, right? Very likely. So we share valuable content with you guys. So these are the ways for teachers to build audience. right? Social media, podcasting, blogging, newsletters, and of course there are more, but these are the most popular and the kind of effective ways for teachers to build an audience. So you need to pass it to Martin now, okay? So Martin, let me stop sharing. Hello. You. Hey. Sorry, I think I'm behind for.
That's okay.
Let me remove my spotlight. Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Remove spotlight. All right. How are you doing? Thanks for
Not too
waiting.
bad. That's okay.
All right, awesome. Okay, so I will pass it to you, and Martin gonna do a demo first, and then talk about the strategies, right? And I'll be back after you, and then we can do the Q&A together. Okay.
Yep, sure.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, before I actually start, I just wanted to sort of pick up on two things James said. Number one is how audience comes before offer. So I'm going to talk about my podcast. I actually had this podcast. I made episodes at the beginning twice a week for more than 1 year without offering anything. And I think that actually worked to my advantage, because when you're not offering anything, I don't know, I just built an audience. I wasn't even really intending on creating a business from it. I just did it because I enjoyed it. But I had an audience first, and then I was able to sell to them. So that's number one. And number two, I just want to mention I worked. James didn't ask me to say this, but I worked individually with James, and I just want to say what, in my opinion, sets James apart from other people. I've worked with other coaches and stuff. Is that he actually really cares about your results. And the demonstration of this, I've never even said this to James. We were working together and I said, how many sessions have I got left? And James replied, it doesn't matter. Like, we'll get results and then we'll think about that. So he generally does care. Like I said, he didn't ask me to say that. I just thought I would mention it. Okay, let me start with this. So this is me, as you've already seen. Just to tell you quickly who I am, my name is Martin Johnston. I am the creator of the podcast Rock and Roll English, and here are some things about me. So yes, I'm an ESL teacher with 14 years experience. So I was working in this industry a long time before I actually started a podcast, which was in 2017 I started. So I've been doing it like 7 years now. I've published more than 300 episodes. It's been downloaded more than 2.5 million times. I now have successfully created and sold numerous online courses. James mentioned this earlier. I also have an ebook that I sell on Amazon, which everything has been sold through my podcast, my ebook. And as James mentioned, I also have a membership area with more than 100 monthly paying members. So this is, I suppose, proof that you can have a successful business just from a podcast. And so James mentioned lots of advantages for the podcast as well. I mentioned this, we spoke about this in the live. Maybe we'll talk about this again in the Q&A, but yeah, there are so many, in my opinion, advantages to a podcast. The number one being, I'll just mention this, is what he said about you don't need to show your face on camera, and it's so much easier. Oh, actually, and number two is that real close, intimate relationship you can build with people, because people give you their time. In fact, when I listen to a podcast, if it's only like 10 minutes, that's annoying, because I need to listen to a podcast that's like 30 minutes or more. It's when I'm doing the washing up, washing the dishes. I don't have to change it. So I like longer podcasts. So here's what we're going to look at today: the importance of audio quality, how to easily create high quality audio, the equipment you'll need, how to record, edit, and publish a podcast, how to easily get your first 100 listeners, the best way to grow your podcast, and how to use AI to create value from your podcast, and other ways to grow your podcast. By the way, I'm not checking these chats. I should be, maybe. Okay, no, I'll just continue. Okay, so yes, audio quality for podcast is absolutely everything. Okay, so when you, for example, watch a YouTube video, you have the visuals there as well. So maybe if you're creating a YouTube video, you can kind of get away with audio quality which isn't as high. Okay, when it's a podcast, all you have is the audio. Okay, so it really does need to be very high quality. So I'm going to demonstrate this to you. So let's see the difference of audio that audio can make. Okay, so I recorded this earlier. So I'm going to ask you to tell me what you prefer, audio A or audio B. And all I did, as you can see here, is I changed the microphone. So this is the microphone I'm using now, and I just changed it to a different microphone that's from my computer. Okay, so I want you to listen and tell me which one you prefer, audio A or audio B. Remember, audio A was from my computer, because often you don't realize until you hear them next to each other. So what do you prefer, audio A or audio B? Put it in the chat after you listen. This is audio A. And this is audio B. So, do you prefer audio A or do you prefer audio B? Okay, so you can put that in the chat. What do we prefer? Yes, everyone obviously says B. So someone there commented, wow, what a difference. This is what I mean. You don't actually notice it until you've got the bad one and the good one. And the bad one was just my computer microphone. When you've got a proper microphone, the difference is enormous. So if I'm listening to a podcast, lots of podcasters actually do have audio A, and it's so annoying. This is audio A. And this is audio B. So when I listen, sometimes I'm always searching for podcasts. Maybe I find a kind of independent podcast. I click on it and I hear that terrible audio, and I very quickly switch off because I can't deal with it. So someone said, I noticed the difference in my microphones for the Zoom calls I was in. Yes, it makes a huge difference. Like someone else mentioned, you often don't notice, but it makes a huge difference. So yes, audio quality is very important, but the good news is that it's very easy to get high quality audio. Okay, recording great audio is very easy. I just want to add here, I'm an idiot in the sense that I'm not great with technology, especially when I started this. I had pretty much no idea. Even now, I think if I spoke to like an expert in audio, they would probably say to me, oh, you don't know what you're doing. But I've got enough to make very good quality audio, and I'm going to teach you the basics to show you how simple it is, because sometimes people can get too worried about the small details which don't make any difference. So I'm going to show you how easy it is. Okay, so this is the equipment you need. Well, this is what people think you need. People think you need all of this like complicated things, like these, I can't even remember what they're called, mixers. That's what they're called. People think you need mixers, they're really complicated and stuff. But what you actually need is this, a computer and a USB mic. Okay, now as you can see, all it is you get your microphone, you plug it into your computer, into the USB part, which is here, and that's it. And then you're away. That is literally all I have. Even now, you can get, like, if you use this, I'm sure it would sound probably 1% better, but it's really not necessary. I've been podcasting for 7 years, and I have this. This is my setup even now. And the other good news is it's actually very cheap to get started in the podcast world. So you can get a USB mic, which I'm going to show you in a minute, for approximately $100. You need a pair of headphones, which any pair of headphones, $20. And the other thing you would need to edit your podcasts, I use a program called Audacity, and that is totally free. If you have these three things, you can start a podcast. Okay, so it's really cheap as well. So yes, the USB mic, I'll show you this, but James is going to put this in your, it's going to be your bonus at the end. But let me just show you this and just show, it's actually even cheaper than I thought. This microphone, so it's $70, $69. I had this microphone for about 5 years and I loved it. And then my child actually broke it because they were playing with it, my 1-year-old. And then I actually spent like $400 on the microphone I'm using now. And I must admit, I preferred this one. I actually think this is probably better than what I have now, and it's only $70. So as mentioned, you can get started really, really quickly. Let me just see the chat. Okay, there's some more things. Okay, the Samsung mic, yes, really great quality. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so let's keep going. So yes, really, really simple. Like, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold. Equipment wise, really, really simple to get started. So here are 7 steps to perfect audio editing. As mentioned, with editing, you can do a million things. Okay, I do these 7. I've only ever done these 7. I don't do anything else. And my audio quality, in fact, I often get people complimenting me on how great the audio is. And I just do these things, which are very simple. So I record, obviously. Now, when you do this, as just mentioned in Audacity, you need to make sure the correct mic is selected. Okay, because if you record on the wrong one, that's exactly what we saw earlier. Okay, so I record. I will demonstrate this all in a minute. Delete, obviously. Remove background noise. I'll show you what that means. Increase, decrease volume. Copy and paste. Silence. Move recordings. Okay, so now I'm actually going to make a recording, and then we can start. Okay, so the music, I have some different music I use, but sometimes I just use this at the start of my episodes. My student actually made this for me, so I didn't even pay for this. It's just like a guitar sound, if you listen here. Because my podcast is Rock and Roll English. One of my students made that for me, so I didn't even pay for that. Okay, so now I'm going to record a very quick episode. Now, I have normal episodes, let's call them normal. But sometimes, for example, last week I hosted a live event, and to tell my followers about it, I just made like a 1-minute podcast to say, just to let you know, I am doing a live lesson next week, and then I published it. So I'm going to make one of these podcasts. Okay, so let's go. We'll do this together. So I'll press record. I've got the right mic selected because, again, if I have the wrong one, this was actually from my webcam. If I do this, hello everyone, I'm recording this demo. If we listen to this, this is going to be terrible. Hello everyone, I'm recording this. Okay, that's not what we want. We have to make sure the right one is selected. And believe me, many times I've recorded a podcast, got to the end and realized the wrong mic was selected, and it's the worst feeling in the world because the whole audio is gone. Okay, I've got my mic selected. So here we go. Hello, everyone. This is just a quick message to let you know that there will be a live lesson on Wednesday, the 10th of November at 7 p.m. I hope to see you all there. Okay, so we've recorded there. Let's go. Hello, everyone. This is just a quick message to let you know that there will be a live lesson on Wednesday, the 10th of November at 7 p.m. I hope to see you all there. Okay, so we've got that recorded, but I've just realized at 7 p.m. I've just realized, it's not 7 p.m., it's 8 p.m. So what do I need to do? I just need to highlight that, and I can just press delete, or I can just click this. Mine's actually in Italian, this for some reason, because my computer is Italian, but Audacity is the same. You just click these scissors and then chop that. So now I can just add that bit again. The 10th of November. So I just need to add that. At 8 p.m. I hope to see you all there. Okay, so I've deleted there and I've re-recorded that part. So let's see how this sounds now. Of November at 8 p.m. I hope to see you all there. Okay, so I've got a bit of a gap there. So again, I just need to highlight that, delete that gap. Okay, and listen to that now. 10th of November at 8 p.m. I hope to see you all there. Okay, I mean, even what I've just shown you there, if you even understand how to do that, that's basically all you need to know for editing. Okay, just that simple function of deleting and then re-recording. I do this hundreds and hundreds of times. It's really easy. Plus it sounds it sounds natural in the end, as you can see here. Of November at 8 p.m. I hope to see you. I often, when I'm recording a podcast, I literally will do something like this. So the lesson will be at 6 p.m. next week. So obviously, if I was to do this, it will be at 6 p.m. That sounds ridiculous. So I just delete that space there. I can just do this. Just press that again. Now let's listen. Will be at 6 p.m. next week. Okay. Just that basic function. As mentioned, I am an idiot. Even that basic function of deleting is so easy. And again, going back to other things you can use if you use Instagram or YouTube, editing videos. If anyone has ever edited a video, has anyone ever edited a video before? You can tell me. It's so difficult. And it's so much easier to edit a podcast. So that's one thing that we can do. Okay. One other thing which you may want to do, which is always useful. I've actually brought my fan here, okay? Because when I used to live in Italy, I always used to record podcasts with my fan on because it was really hot. So that's what I'm going to do now. And you can just see this one kind of difficult function that I use, okay? Hello everyone, just to let you know, there will be a lesson at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of November. Thanks a lot. I hope to see you all there. Ooh. Okay, now, if we listen to that, probably you're going to hear something. So maybe actually I could just make this. This is something else that I was going to show you. So amplifica in Italian is like amplify. So I just have to turn up the volume to increase the volume. Really simple. Hello everyone. Okay. And all you would need to do there, you highlight it, you would click effects, you would click reduce noise. And what it does, it will take that part of the podcast, which I'll do now. I'll highlight the rest of the podcast. And I'm basically saying, delete that noise from all of the podcast. Okay, it was maybe a bit too loud, but if you listen to here. Hello, everyone. Just to let you know that it will remove that from the rest of the podcast. Okay. One other thing that I do, again, really simple. You would highlight something and click silence. Okay, just where it says there, silence. Now there's no noise there. And as mentioned, the other things, you can make the noise, make the sound, you can increase the sound or you can decrease the sound. So you just click effects, amplify. If you want to turn it up, you go like that. That's maybe a bit too high. It's not letting me do that. Okay. And if I want to take it down, the opposite. Okay, just take that down. Okay. On my list, what else do I have to show you? Okay, copy and paste. Okay, I almost feel embarrassed showing you this because it's so simple. So let's say I've got my podcast here and then I want the music again at the end. So I'm just going to highlight that. I just double click, Control C. I can go to the end here, Control V. Okay, I've copied and pasted that. So then that is my now whole podcast. Okay, let's go. Hello everyone, just to let you know, there will be a lesson at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, the 10th of November. Thanks a lot. I hope to see you all there. And that would be my episode. And that is about it, really. Another thing that you can do is move. I will probably look at this a bit later, but that pretty much is the editing. As mentioned, really all you need to know is record, delete. Okay, maybe copy and paste. If you can do those things, you can have a successful podcast. Just obviously make sure when you are recording to try to be in a quiet place. And that's about it for the recording, for the editing process. As mentioned, it's really simple. So, okay, people say it's good to see a live demo. But I just really want to emphasize how easy this is, because I know it can be kind of like intimidating to think, oh my God, this is so difficult. And to be honest, I still find that with videos and video editing. there's so much to, like, especially now you need subtitles. You need to make sure the subtitles are aligned. Like, you can have different layers because you want something coming on with the podcast. Record and delete. If you can do those two things, you can have a successful podcast. Okay. So there we go. Okay. So okay, I'm happy to hear that was useful for people. So, I mean, I've written all of those things, but as mentioned, number 1 and number 2 are enough. You can increase or decrease the volume, copy and paste, but number 1 and number 2 are enough. Don't get confused. It is really simple. As mentioned, I am an idiot and I can do this. Okay. So if I can do it, I truly believe anyone else can do it. If you can switch on a computer and talk on Zoom, you can do it. Okay, so now we are going to upload our podcast. Okay, so if I just record screen, you should be able to see everything that I do. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to save this. Okay, so again, really simple, file. So this is, again, it's in Italian, but that's just export. Now, there's all these complicated files. Again, I don't even know what a WAV file is. I do believe a WAV file is better, but again, I like to keep things really simple. So I know what an MP3 is. I use MP3s. I have always used MP3s. So I'm going to export it like an MP3. And I will call it, I'll put it in this file. So I will call it lesson pod. Okay, because this is, I'm telling people about my lesson. Okay, so I've saved it. I can name the track if I want, not important. So I've saved my file. Okay, now I'm going to go to my host. So this is called Podbean. Okay, you need your podcast host. Let me just maybe use my next slide to describe this. So the two podcast hosts I would recommend are Podbean, which I use. I also use Hello Audio for my private podcast, because James mentioned that you can have people that pay and get your private podcast. So I actually use both. I use Podbean for my public one and Hello Audio for my private. To be honest, I would actually probably recommend Hello Audio because you can do both of these things. The only reason I don't use Hello Audio for both is because by the time I did my private podcast, I already had like 150 episodes, and I just didn't want to move the episodes. Even though you can, I thought it's risky. I don't want to risk losing them. And also because Podbean is really cheap. Also, Hello Audio is quite cheap. Podbean's like $100 a year. Okay, so for $100 a year, I didn't want to risk anything. But anyway, you upload your podcast to either of these. There are other options available too, but you upload it to either of these, and then that will distribute it to all of the major podcast apps. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict. You can also put podcasts on YouTube now. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, where were we? Okay, so we were uploading it, weren't we? So, okay, I'm on Podbean, and now I want to publish an episode. I'm going to click New Episode, the one that we just created. Okay, oh God, I need to log in again. Sorry about this. Okay, so new episode, upload the episode. We're going to get that one that we just created. Lesson pod. Okay, yep. So now I need to write the title. I'm just going to write lesson pod. Oh, pod. And I will say, this is the note, the show, like the description of the episode. Don't forget about my live lesson. And the other great thing is you can put links in this. I actually forgot to mention this on the episode. Normally on the episode, I would say, click the link in the podcast you're listening to now. So I could say something like this: book your place here. Okay, and then maybe I'll put my booking link here. So again, if I know lots of people worked on LinkedIn, for example, and they have like strategy sessions. So you could put your link in there, and you put it there, click the link, upload that. Okay, that's ready to go. So I don't want to publish now. I would maybe schedule it for like tomorrow. Okay, I normally like to schedule at 1 minute past midnight AM. Okay, and that now, as you can see, is going to come out at that time. Okay, and that's it. So we have recorded, edited, and uploaded the podcast. That is literally all you need to do. I'm obviously going to delete this because I don't want that to come out. But that is it. So let me know if anyone thought that was simple, difficult. So WAV files have more information, but they're much bigger files. MP3 is usually enough, someone said. So yeah, I always use MP3. I just find it easier. So someone I work with uses Buzzsprout. Yeah, I've heard of that. I like I said, I use Podbean and Hello Audio, and I find them both brilliant. I'm sure others probably are, because it is quite a simple thing. They do the same thing. You just upload it there, and then it goes out to all the like podcast apps. So that's pretty much all you need to do. So we looked at equipment, which we looked at. The microphone was actually $70 plus some headphones, 20. A year subscription to Podbean is like $100. So just to put this into perspective, you can get your podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all the rest of them for $200. That's it. That's including hosting and equipment. That's all you need. And as mentioned, like the microphone, the USB, just plug it into the USB. They are called plug and play. You plug it in, you record. That's it. It is that simple. And then the editing process, we looked at that. As mentioned, if you can record and you can delete, you don't need to worry about anything else. So that's it. So someone said, are you using the SM7B microphone with the latest SM7DB with built-in preamp? So Manuel, so for example, Manuel, you seem to know what you're talking about. I would say you maybe understand more than me, because yeah, I am using, I believe it's the SM7. I don't know what the SM7B is. I don't even know what a built-in preamp is. So I just want to sort of emphasize again that I am an idiot when it comes to these things. I just keep everything basic, but I still have managed to create a successful business being an idiot. Keeping things really simple, because like I don't like preamp and all of this, and WAV files are all too complicated for my small brain. The built-in preamp one came out this year. Okay. So yeah, as mentioned, too complicated for me. But again, just to reiterate, podcasts on Spotify for less than $200 a year, and it's so simple to do. So now here's how to easily find your first 100 listeners. Okay, now everyone listening, I believe, is a teacher, so you can do exactly the same thing I did. Use these people, your students. Okay, I just, for the first I don't know, 6 months, I suppose, every lesson, I am an ESL teacher, my homework to my students was listen to my podcast, and then we would spend the next 5 minutes of the lesson at the beginning of the next lesson talking about it. Okay, so then I already had sort of, I started with about 50 downloads, and I thought that was amazing. And then I was getting into the hundreds because of this. It's kind of a ripple effect. Your students will tell people about it. I also saw someone commented, how do I know what to create podcasts about? What I actually did at the beginning, I just created podcasts and just emailed them to some of my students, like, do you like this or do you like this? So you can actually experiment before you start, because you have students, and so you can get their feedback. I actually saw a statistic just yesterday, actually, that said if you get 32 downloads in your first 3 episodes, you are in the top 50% of podcasts. Because I think lots of people start a podcast about how to be healthy, but maybe they're not teachers and they've got no, they don't think about how they're going to get people to listen. So you can immediately just give it to your students. And I guarantee, well, if you email all of your students, you can send messages to people in LinkedIn. I've got this free podcast. Have a listen. Let me know what you think. It's a great way to like build relationships with them again, and to start getting traction on your podcast. So send the test episodes to students who are the type. Okay. So someone said, what happens if you do not have students? That is just send it to friends and family. So if you're not a teacher, then I suppose you need to find some people. So friends and family, I suppose, would be the next one. Let me just read some other ones. So thank you for keeping it simple. No problem. As mentioned, I like to keep things as simple as possible, and I still do now. Okay. So where are we? So how to make sure you're sounding great. Okay, this is important as well. Okay, do not do this. Okay, read. So when I create an episode, now normally I have conversations, but I have like an intro and outro where I talk alone, and sometimes I create podcasts of just me talking for like 20 minutes or something like that. Now what I have is like a a Google Doc open, and I have bullet points, because if you read, it's so obvious. Well, people can tell you it's a reading voice, and that doesn't sound great. That's, for example, when I listen to audiobooks, sometimes I find it a bit boring because they're just reading. But when someone's just talking, I find that much more interesting. So talk or speak, don't read. Okay. So just have some points of what you want to say. Go off on like rambles, on tangents. That's great. People love that. Okay. Because they love the human element. So as James mentioned there, how I said, when you listen to a podcast, it's just the person listening, the headphones, like you have that very close relationship with them. Really let your personality come through. In fact, that's what I want to say here. Be yourself, be you. That is your unique selling point, that you are you. When I worked with James, one thing that he kind of made me understand was, he said, when people like buy your courses, it's because they want you. Because like, I don't know, I've got like pronunciation course and things, and I'm sure probably somewhere it's kind of not nice to admit, but someone's created a better course than me. But people still buy my course because they listen to my podcast and they want to work with me. So be yourself, be you. Don't try and copy someone else, because that's not going to work, and people are going to see through that straight away. So let me just have a quick look. So do you have to have great communication skills? How do you keep talking for a long time? Do you use notes to keep going? So yes, I use just some notes to move, and I'm going to show you about communication skills in a minute, actually. Yes, what can you do to get more listeners if your current students aren't really the target audience of your podcast? So again, if you're on like LinkedIn and you've made connections with people, I mean, you can go on like Facebook groups, get talking to people. But yeah, you just have to really try to find ways of connecting with these people. How long should you be aiming for? If you mean podcast episode, that it kind of depends, really. I like to normally go for around about 30 minutes. As I said, if it's like a 5-minute episode, sometimes that's just annoying, because they don't want to change. Like, you might be cycling and then it's difficult to change the podcast, for example. Do you have your voice playing through your headphones as you're speaking? No, because it sounds weird. So I don't do that. So someone mentioned about communication skills. Okay. So as I always say, one of my favorite quotes, I think it's from Ziglar: you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And every podcaster, I'm sure, YouTuber will tell you the same thing, maybe actor, everything. So I'm going to demonstrate this to you. Okay. I actually downloaded something from my very first episode. The first part is from my first episode, and then the next part is from a very recent episode I did. Now, just to give you some context, the way my episodes work is I have a conversation with a friend, and then at the end of the episode, I kind of analyze the vocabulary that was used during the conversation. Okay, so it finishes, and then I say, okay, let's look at the I call rock and roll vocabulary. So just listen to the difference in my voice. Okay, let's go.
So that was the first episode of Rock and Roll English there with my fantastic guest.
Okay, so that was the episode. Now let's have a look at some of the rock and roll vocabulary used in the conversation. So you may notice in the first one, I sounded like the most boring person in the world. I mean, even listening to that, it makes me feel sick almost, how boring I sound.
So that was the first episode of...
So that was the first episode.
So that was the first episode of Rock and Roll English there with my fantastic guest.
That, like, I can't believe that people even listened to that. So it will take a bit of time to find your voice. So it's just standard. It just happens. You'll just get better at it, just like anything. And so the more you do it, the better you will get. So someone said, I like the first one. Yeah. Hello. It sounded like, obviously, luckily, no one could see my face, but I'd imagine even recording that, my face was like, hello and welcome to Rock and Roll English. This is the first episode. Whilst now I feel much more confident. So now I'll be like, hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Rock and Roll English, blah, blah, blah. So someone mentioned as well about video podcasts, I saw in the questions. So again, it's like a confidence thing. I wouldn't have wanted to start with video podcasts. I often do it now, but I wouldn't have wanted to start like that for that exact reason. And the other thing about it is I wouldn't stress too much about it, because lots of people, myself included, I'll put a video on YouTube, but I don't watch the video. And I've heard lots of people do this at work. They like have it open, but they don't actually watch the video. They just listen. The reason I actually do it on YouTube is because YouTube, it will say like suggested videos. So I don't need to think. I just have a click. Whilst if I go on a podcast app, I have to choose what podcasts I want to listen to. So I often do prefer YouTube, but I don't actually watch the video, because at the end of the day, it's just two people talking. So yes, we listened to me at the beginning and now, to show you that you just find your voice. But as mentioned, the quote one more time, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. So someone said, so I think you're the Joe Wicks of English teachers. That's a compliment, by the way. People have mentioned the Joe Wicks thing before, actually. I'm sure Catherine is British. I don't think anyone else from America would know him. So I arrived late. Do you put your video full face then on YouTube? I often do. I often just can't be bothered, to be honest, because I have to upload the video. It takes time. I just can't be bothered. I don't really do much with my YouTube channel. A listener actually volunteered, and she actually does it all for me now. And but then sometimes, like my guests, because I interview my friends, don't like to be on YouTube. But there is something I wanted to mention. You can now link your podcast directly to YouTube, so that people can get just the audio version on YouTube as well, because Google Podcasts now has disappeared. So you can just, you link it to YouTube, so people can just listen to the audio on YouTube as well. So which one of the two voices you find ESL learners prefer? I mean, I haven't asked, or in fact, I have asked people, and they said they prefer the second one. I suppose maybe lower levels might prefer the early voice, because I was speaking much slower. It depends on, I suppose, your target audience there. So now my target is kind of like upper media advanced speakers of English. So I speak, I still kind of enunciate my words better, but I just feel I speak with more confidence, really, than I did before. So someone said, how long have you been podcasting? 7.5 years. So it's January 2017, my first episode. So here is the best way to grow your podcast, guaranteed 100%. You start your podcast, you contact other podcasters, okay, and you collaborations, okay. Someone told me this really simple piece of advice once. People that listen to podcasts, meaning, like, so not everyone listens to podcasts, but if you found people that already listen to podcasts, and for example, you go on their show, it's very likely they're going to check your show out because they like podcasts, okay. So it's the greatest way to find extra podcast listeners, okay. You might find someone on social media that might like following you on Instagram, but maybe they don't like listening to podcasts, so they're only going to follow you on Instagram, for example. How many episodes did you prepare in advance when you got started? I actually had about I'd say 7 or 8, and those 7 or 8 episodes were, as I mentioned before, episodes that I had sent to students. Even the first episode, I prepared that, thinking maybe I'll release it. So I still recorded it as if it was a real podcast, but it was just it was like a test that I sent to students, and they all said, "Oh, I really like it," so I just published it as it was. So I only had like 7 or 8 before I started. So best practices for collaborations. Okay, so I've got 3 different messages. I'm going to look at these things. Sorry. How to approach guests, how to make it pain-free for them, the recording process, how to conduct an interview, and the after interview chat. So how to approach guests. Okay, so read this message. Okay, let's call this message A, and tell me if you like this. So you're contacting me, for example. Do you think this is a good message to send someone? Let me know in the chat. Is this a good message to send a podcaster? It's very small print. I wouldn't concentrate on the print. I'd concentrate on the content. Okay, some people say no. Any reason? So I, especially recently for some reason, have received lots of these. Now I don't even respond anymore because I just think they've just copied and pasted that. They've absolutely paid no attention to me. They just want to get something from me. There's nothing in that for me. So I don't even respond. Okay, what about B? What do we think? So yes to B. Yes, so it's definitely better because now I know that they've listened to my episode. So I think, oh, that's good. But again, especially if you're contacting someone that's already got a podcast, I kind of think, well, what's in this for me? So someone said, is there a C? Yes, there is a C. And you don't really need to read all of it. I suppose you can start from here. There's a big difference starting from here. So what's the difference between, for example, B and C? So A, absolutely no, because it's just copy and paste. There's nothing to show. Yes, so everyone said exactly that. So if someone's inviting you, so if you have a podcast, okay, you will be amazed how many people you can get on this podcast. So I had a podcast with like 50 downloads, and then I started contacting people, and I always said, do you want to come on my podcast? I never said, can I come on yours? Okay. You'll be amazed. Everyone will say yes. So even now, if you have a podcast and you have 20 listeners, I will come on your podcast. Okay. And then let me show you what happens. So I can never say this word very well. Reciprocity. Is that right? Reciprocity. Oh, sorry. So let me give you some examples. So that obviously means so they reciprocate this. So if I do you a favor, just naturally, if you're a good person, you want to do me a favor. So just some examples. This is a guy called John on Instagram. I invited him on my podcast. I didn't mention anything about the opposite of me doing something with him. He doesn't even have a podcast, actually. And then at the end, he just said, you want to do an Instagram live with me? As you can see, he's got a lot of followers. Just from that Instagram live with him, I think I got 2,200 extra followers. Okay. And he did that just because I invited him on my podcast. And then I would say the most famous in the English podcasting game, Luke's English podcast. Now, I contacted Luke when I think I was on about 200 downloads an episode. And I invited him on my podcast and he wanted to reciprocate. I went on his podcast and then I went from 200, I would say, to 2,000 overnight downloads an episode. It's just how it works. So as soon as you get your podcast started, invite people onto your podcast. And I mean, it's not always they're going to say, come on mine, but a lot of the time they will say yes. And you're also just creating your contacts. So it's 100% the best way. So Catherine, I was sharing because he said he had trouble with it. I'm not sure. Okay. The word. Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. So yes, once you've got the yes from them, for example, I contacted Luke. Hi, Luke. I've got a podcast. I think your podcast is great, especially the episode about this. I really like you. Would you like to come on my podcast? Okay. That's exactly what I did. I took some time. I listened to his podcast and said, would you like to come on mine? So you want to make it as pain-free as possible. So pain-free. Okay. So again, which ones do you like? So the other person Luke has responded to me saying, yes, I would like to come on your podcast. Which one do you prefer? A, B, or C? A, B, or C? So people say C. Yeah, that C is really good. Just make sure, I mean, even A is generally okay. To be honest, I started with A because I didn't have a booking link. So yeah, A plus C. Yeah, because for example, I didn't have a booking link. So I started with A. That's generally fine. Don't say B though, because you're going back and forth. It's just too much. So someone said, I remember you from Luke's English podcast. There you go. Okay. That was what started. And Luke is really nice. And so if you start a podcast, you invite Luke, I'm sure he'll invite you on. Also, if you start a podcast, you invite me, I will invite you on 100%. Okay. And then, so you can send after they say yes, you can send them an email. I've got this here. So just after you've agreed the time, just want to confirm the details, upcoming podcast, date, time, put a link to the call, like a Zoom link. Here are the topics we're going to discuss on the podcast and questions that I'll ask you. You don't want to catch people out if you say, like, what's the best way to improve your English? Okay. You want to prepare them for that. So you can have the topics, the questions, and sometimes you can put this. You just need a pair of headphones, a microphone, uninterrupted space. Obviously, if you have any questions, let me know. Sorry, I didn't finish that. Let me know. Looking forward to our chat. Speak to you soon. Okay. So it's making it pain-free for them. So are you sending this out to people? I mean, yeah, I can send this to James and he can include it if you want. So the recording process, if you're having a conversation, so Zoom is fine and will get the job done. So you can just record on Zoom. It will record and then it will give you also the audio file. Just put the audio file into your recording. It's fine. If you want to like step up, especially if you're sorry, I just saw James's comment. If you want to do video podcasts, Riverside is brilliant. Okay, it's a program. It's a paid option. And that is brilliant. It is a paid option. I don't use this. Okay. The one thing I would say is make sure you make a backup recording. Okay. There's nothing worse than getting to the end and there's been a tech problem. It's happened to me a lot. To make sure you get a backup of this. Okay. So an easy way to get a backup recording is record locally. Now, what that means is you get the person to record as if they were talking to themselves. Okay. Like what we did with Audacity, how I recorded that's called recording locally. Okay. Now you can also use this website. This is really good. It's called Vocaroo. Okay, you just press, you send this to the other person. Say, just record with this. Hello, my name is Martin. This is the recording. And then, hello, my name is Martin. This is the recording. And then you just click save and share. This person will send you the link, and then you have the audio. Okay, just for backup. But as mentioned, if you just use Zoom, that is absolutely fine. But Riverside is the best, but it's the paid option. So after podcast chat, obviously thank them for their time. Tell them when the episode will be out. So for example, the episode will be out in 2 weeks. And always say this, will it be okay if you share it on your social media? Everyone will always do that, 100%. And then you could say, if you're looking for guests, I'd be happy to come on and speak about X. Okay. And hopefully they'll invite you on. I'm too embarrassed to ask this normally, but generally people do ask me to come on their episodes. So to grow your podcasts, SEO, okay, make the title of your show appear in searches. So my friend Charlie has got this podcast, which I think is a brilliant title, the British English Podcast. So many people think I prefer British English, or you could have the American English Podcast, for example. So someone will write British English Podcast, boom. The first one that's going to come up is his podcast. So include the keywords in the title of your show. So you could have like English for medical professionals, something like that as your title. Don't try to be clever and use like jokes or something like that. Okay, like Rock and Roll English, which is a stupid name for a podcast. Just go straight to the point, okay, because it's going to be searchable. So I won't go too much into detail because I'm a bit short for time, but so you can use transcription programs, AI, and show notes. So this is what I use for transcription. It's called Otter AI. So basically, I'll just quickly show you it. Where is it? I haven't got it open. I just upload my episode here. There is a free version, which would be enough for most people. I pay a little bit of money for it. I just upload this. I just press import. I upload the file and it will transcribe it. I have to check the transcription because there's sometimes some mistakes, but that's it. Just if you want to add the transcription, then I use Claude AI. I literally, I'll show you what I did recently with this. So I uploaded the transcript and I wrote, can you extract all high level vocabulary from the transcript? Everything that would be difficult for B2 level B2 learner of English. Okay, it gave it to me. And then I said, please present it like this: term, meaning how it was used in the podcast. And then I had a PDF like this, a Google Doc. I then saved that as a PDF, and then I sent that to my listeners. Someone said Descript is a nice transcription tool. I found Descript really complicated. And as mentioned, I like to keep things simple. So I didn't like it. But yeah, it is really good, I've heard. So recap. Good audio is extremely important. It's easy to make good audio and podcasts in general. You just need a computer, USB mic, headphones. That's it. And we're talking like $100 there. Audacity, which is free. Make the editing process as simple as possible. If you are an idiot like me and you're not good with technology, use Podbean Hello Audio to put your podcast out to all the main podcast apps. Email your students about your episodes to get your first 100 listeners. Don't read, speak. Be yourself. Grow through collaborations. Ask them to come on your podcast. Make it pain-free for them. Always make a backup recording. I can't tell you how horrible that is when something's gone wrong. Make your title searchable. Use AI for PDFs, show notes, and transcripts. And that's about it.